Chelsea Warner. I'm here with RØDE, and today I'm going to be making a beat using just a mic and things that you probably already have in your room. All right, I'm going to capture a bunch of percussive one-shots that are going to comprise the drum kit that I'm creating for the beat. First things first, I'm going to make the kick. So I'm going to record the table. I'm going to punch the table. Next, the snare. I'm going to do kind of like a beatboxy snare thing. Let's see how that goes. Next, I'm going to do a clap. So because a clap is probably a little louder, I'm just going to get slightly further from the mic. Kind of watching the waveform and watching the transients to make sure that what I'm doing is loud enough, that I have my gain loud enough on my interface, things like that. Next, I'm going to do a snap. So that's going to be softer. I can get closer. All right. Next, I'm going to wrestle some paper. Hopefully I can use that for some higher pitched percussion. The last thing I'm going to do in terms of the drum one-shots are hats, open and closed hats. Plenty of options there. Okay, now I'm going to try and record a bass sample. So for that, I'm going to use a metal water bottle because I want a sound that has a pitch to it. I don't want just a plain percussive sound like I did for the drums. I need something with some resonant frequencies that I can draw out. So I'm going to try whacking this metal bottle on the table. Okay, I tried to get samples of varying lengths. And then I have options for later. Next, I'm going to record some kind of noise sounds that I want to use for sweeps, rises, impacts, those kind of things. I'm just going to use mouth sounds for that. Okay, I'm going to start programming this into an actual groove now. All right, I'm going to build up the chorus and then I can just deductively arrange it from there. I always build up the biggest section first. Let's start with our snare because I know that's going to be on beats 2 and 4. Okay, just get the patterns right. See how it sounds layered? I actually prefer the other sample. All right, let's try the kick. The kick's always the hardest thing to get right with found sounds. Great, that's a little kick pattern. That's going to need a bit of work in terms of processing, pulling out the most juice from that. Let's keep building it up. We've got this clap here. I know that's going to be an accent. All right, it's getting a little lost, so I'm going to put it slightly behind the beat. Crank that. Got this snap. That's going to just fill in the gaps a little. Just drawing everything in individually. Cute. All right, snare accent. Now I know that's going to be... on every second beat 4. And now it's hats times. This is pretty quick because when I was dissecting the sounds and choosing the ones that I wanted, I knew what I wanted them all to do. So now I'm just actually doing it. Let's listen to how these hats actually sound and see what needs to change. Sounds like a hi-hat. That's a great little pattern there. And then the second one, I put it in a sampler so I can make it I can make the pitch flexible. See what I mean? Little rolls there. I'll make this one slightly shorter so that it can do the quicker patterns. There's a lot going on here with the hats. All right, this is like a rough drum pattern. So now I need to go in and just do some final processing to the sounds. So the kick I can hear, for example, isn't really hitting hard enough. So I'm going to try some overdrive on that, see what it does. Cool thing about the stock Ableton overdrive, it's multi-band, so you can choose where you want it to distort. I'm going to distort the lows so that that sticks out a bit more. I feel like this snare is super tame as well. Maybe that needs some distortion too. I'm going to try a combination of overdrive and erosion as well, which is another cool stock plugin. That sounds like a snare now. Let's go. Erosion. Let's see. This might be weird. I really like that. That sounds like a super garagey snare. All right, I just want to pull a little bit more out of this clap now, and then I feel like we're honestly good. Sounds nice. I'm going to chuck some echo on it. Let's see what that does. Cool. No reverb. Ping pong. I'm going to add some stereo imaging, just some panning to the hat rolls. I'm going to use the Ableton stock auto pan. That's great. And this one I'm just going to pan manually slightly to the right, just to give it the beat a little bit of a stereo dimension. Okay, the very last thing I'm going to do to these drums is I'm just going to add some beef, some sauce to the drum bus itself. I've got everything in a group at the moment, so I have an opportunity to like give them like one more little push, give them a little more oomph. I like putting just a stock saturator on a drum bus. Works pretty well. Let's chuck some EQ on there, maybe before the saturator. And now that I've done that, the snare's kind of hectic, so let me turn that down. I'm happy with that. All right, now I'm going to do the bass. So I have two different bass one-shots that I'm going to use for different sections. They're slightly different lengths. I'm going to chuck the first one in a sampler. Now, this is what the one-shot sounds like, just by itself with no processing or anything, just completely raw. So you can hear there's a lot of high end in there, but there's also a lot of low end, which is perfect. What we're going to do just straight off the bat, I know we need to do, is just filter that top end out, because it's just all about those lows and the low mids. So I'm going to use the drawing tool to just draw in a bass line. Maybe even further. now. I just need to listen out for what exact notes I need to play. Okay, it's slightly detuned, which is bound to happen. So I just need to detune it, make it a little sharper. Here we are. E. That's the note that we need. It's a little too sharp now, a bit finicky. Great, that's the pattern. Now I just got to change it to the next note. All right, this is our bass line. Straight off the bat, let's saturate it yet again. We just need to pull some of those resonant frequencies out of there. Let's chuck some overdrive on it as well. Actually, there's a preset. Distort, let's try that. Last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to sidechain that to the kick so that it's kind of pulsing and locking in with the groove. Sidechain to kick using the stock Ableton compressor. Let's hear it with everything. Great. Just going to add a couple little details. Cool. That's the bass line. Now all I'm going to do for like the verse section is just use the second one shot that I have because it's slightly shorter. Whenever I make beats, I always arrange it in sections as if I was doing a song because that's how I think about it. So I think about music. So let's hear how that sounds and if that needs anything else. Let me grab this actual initial sample itself and just cut it shorter. Consolidate that. I'm going to use that. All right. I've chopped this sample shorter. So let's see how that sounds. Whoa. Okay, this is the note we need. And here that needs to change. Something it's a little flat. Let's transpose the rest of this. So this is happening because the harmonics in the different one shots that I recorded are going to be different every time. So each sample is a different pitch. I want this to be less distorted. Great. All right, that's the bass done. The very last thing I'm going to do is I have this kind of noise sweep one shot. So I'm going to just edit that real quick. That's like an impact. Let's get rid of some low rumble. I want this to pretty much just be high end. Make sure I turn warp off because I don't want it to stretch or anything like that. All right, this will be our impact. I'm I'm going to create one more track that's the riser. So it's the exact same sample, but I'm just going to reverse it. On the impact, I want it to have some reverb and some delay. I'll chuck some reverb on it. Make the decay time super long and super wet. Great. Let's chuck some echo on it as well. Great. That's just going to be a really good high-end impact when the chorus hits. Now, for the riser, I'm going to take the same sample and just reverse it. And I don't want any reverb or anything like that on it. So it kind of pulses weirdly, so fade it in. Great. I'm going to do a filter sweep on it as well. So I'm just going to automate the frequency to increase like this. So it sounds like an actual sweep, although I do need to get rid of some low end underneath that. So same as the original impact. Filter that out. Let's crank the resonance so you can actually hear it sweeping. Okay, so now we have all of our samples. Everything's there, everything's processed, ready to go. We just need to arrange the beat into a bit of a structure. We have the chorus. Let's hear everything together. Great. So that's kind of the biggest section. Everything else I want to be way more chill. I always start with the chorus because there you can just add all of your sounds, and now it's really easy to arrange the rest of the track because we just leave some sounds out for different sections. For the verses, I'm going to filter out the hats a little bit so that there's not so much brightness. It's a little hack to make your choruses sound bigger. So auto filter on just for the verses. I reckon in our verses, we don't need this like vocal melody thing either. Let's experiment. Would it be better to just have this? I feel like this bass is really getting lost, so let's just put some overdrive back on it. When the pre hits, let's make it kind of atmospheric. Now I've got the main keys bandpass filtered at the moment. I'm going to make sure that that filter turns off when the chorus hits. Makes it a lot bigger. Okay. Verse is feeling good. Let's do a little intro. Want everything to drop out the beat before the verse comes in. These are just a few like kind of arranging techniques. So little cuts before the beat drops, rises, impacts, filtering out certain sections and not filtering out others. Those are some really good ways to create variety in a beat and create dynamic. Maybe even just for some more impact, I'm going to use this little riser that I made before. So this is my voice. I'm going to make sure it cuts out when everything else cuts out. And let's use the impacts, why not? For this, I'm going to slightly pitch it down though so that it's not the exact same as the chorus, just a few semitones. And make it a bit shorter. take this vocal sample I have and reverse that. Why not? Let's get the most value out of every sample that we have. This could make a good little different riser. Great. For the second half of our pre, let's use this clap. We have all these different snare sounds, so we may as well. I'm doing a lot of tiny things. So really subtle filtering, that kind of stuff. But I'm just using stock plugins for everything. Actually, I prefer that without a filter there. Great. Now we have the verse, pre, and chorus. I'm going to just copy and paste that. And then let's use this last chorus instrumental to make a little outro. I'm going to filter out the drums. That's a cool arrangement technique. Just for the outro. Let's do no bass for the outro as well. I'll play a little snippet of how it all sounds together. And that's done. A whole beat, just under 2 minutes made purely with sounds recorded by microphone. And there you go. If you want to see more videos like this, or if you have any questions, leave a comment. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching.